يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن، ومكارم الأخلاق ندرسها معا، أدب وتربية على الإحسان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Another right, or continuing actually the right that we talked about last time, which is the right of the ruler upon the people, and what the people should do, or what's obligatory upon them to do when it comes to the ruler. And as we heard before, that it doesn't matter whether they are just or unjust, whether they are fulfilling their duty in the most perfect way or not. These are things that has to do with the text, with the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we need to observe. One of which is that it's mandatory upon the people to fulfill the rights of the ruler, even if the ruler is not fulfilling the rights of the people. It doesn't go both ways, right? It's not a rewardable relationship. It's about being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ said to the Ummah, إِنَّكُمْ سَتَرَوْنَ بَعْدِي أَثَرًا. He said to the companions radiallahu anhum, you would see after me athara, meaning that some people would take the matter, would take the authority when they don't deserve it, and would take it from those who deserve it. وَأُمُورًا تُنْكِرُونَهَا, and things that you would abhor, or you would think that this is against the deen. So they said to the Prophet ﷺ, what should you command us, O Prophet of Allah, to do? He said, أَدُّوا إِلَيْهِمْ حَقَّهُمْ. What to do with these types of rulers? Fulfill their rights. وَسَلُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّكُمْ. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your rights. So very clear instructions. He said, fulfill the rights. He did not say overthrow them, go to the streets and protest and whatever. He said, fulfill the rights and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your rights. And he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, وَأَعْطُوهُمْ حَقَّهُمْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَائِلُهُمْ عَمَّا اسْتَرْعَاهُمْ. Fulfill their rights, because indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask them about what they have been entrusted with, meaning the people. Also, one of these rights is to have the nasiha towards them, to have the concern towards them. How can they be upright and to be good and to be just to the people? This is part of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, ad-dinu nasiha. The deen is an-nasiha, the concern towards the subject of the nasiha, one of which is a'immatul muslimin, to the rulers of the Muslimin. And as Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he said, an-nasihatu li'a'immatil muslimin, an-nasiha to the rulers, to the people of authority, is to help them to achieve the truth, is to be obedient to them in matters of ma'ruf and matters of goodness, to remind them of the truth, and to point the matter to them with gentleness and with kindness, and to stay away from, and you see what he says, وَمُجَانَبَةُ الْوُثُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ, to stay away from overtaking their power and their position, and to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them to be guided. This is how the nasiha is. This is not about causing bloodshed and basically going through the people to cause all kinds of evil. Also to help them, to protect them. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَمَنْ بَايَعَ إِمَامًا فَأَعْطَاهُ صَفْقَةَ يَدِهِ وَثَمَرَةَ قَلْبِهِ فَلْيُطِعْهُ إِنِ اسْتَطَاعَ فَإِنْ جَاءَ آخَرُ يُنَازِعُهُ فَاضْرِبُوا عُنُقَ الْآخَرِ. Which means whoever gives the pledge to the imam, to the person of authority, and he gave him the pledge, then obey him to the best of one's ability. And if someone else comes, yunazi'uhu, someone that comes to overthrow or so, then there's a capital punishment for that person by the people of authority. So this is basically, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to this ummah, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one of which is to exalt the ruler, to respect the ruler, and to honor the position. He is in charge. Imagine someone that is a son, for example, disrespecting his father, and his father is in charge of the household. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna min ijlalillah," as we mentioned this hadith many times, from the exaltation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ikram di shaybatin Muslim, to honor the elder among the Muslims, and one of which is wa ikram di sultan muqsit, and to honor the just ruler, to honor him, and so on. So this is how people will continue to be good, as the people of knowledge they say. And if they, basically the ulil amr are the people of authority and the people of knowledge. And the people would always be good as long as they are upon these two things. They honor the people of authority, they honor the scholars, the people of knowledge. Otherwise, they would ruin their worldly matters and their hereafter as a result of not fulfilling these rights. To have soft speech towards them. If they speak to them, they speak to them with nice words, to choose the words to speak to them. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Musa and Harun, his brother, when he sent them to Fir'aun. And Fir'aun was not just an unjust ruler, he was someone that claims to be the Lord of the Alameen. And how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed them. And with that, he still commanded them when they go to him, he said, فَقُولَ لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. Say to him soft speech, maybe he would be reminded or fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why this is to speak to the rulers with soft speech, as Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah he said. This is a matter that is we are addressed by that religiously, وَعَقْلًا وَعُرْفًا, and with reason and with the norm of the people. This is something that is part of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, one of the rights to be observed is to stay away from talking bad and negative and backbiting and talking things against the rulers among the people. When people sit in their gatherings, they are forbidden. They should not speak ill about the rulers and things like this. And this is considered to be ghiba or backbiting. And plus it causes the hearts to be against them, and therefore people might take measures or take means to that can lead to bloodshed and the like of this. One of the things also to be observed is to pray, as a ma'mum behind the ruler if he leads the salah, whether it's someone that is righteous or someone that is wicked. And this is part of the aqidah of the people of Ahl Sunnah. You would find that, for example, in the past when the ruler would lead the salah, if people, they don't like the ruler, they don't pray behind him or they repeat their salah. Of course not. This is not permissible. And to fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with them. If they are the ones in charge of the matters of war and peace, this is the job of the people of authority. It's not for the individuals. And if they do so, then the people would follow them in matters of goodness, of course. And as the Prophet ﷺ, he said about the rulers, يُصَلُّونَ لَكُمْ, your leaders, they pray for you, they lead you. فَإِنْ أَصَابُوا فَلَكُمْ, if they do it right, then it's for you. That means you get rewards for that. وَإِنْ أَخْطَأُوا فَلَكُمْ عَلَيْهِمْ, and if they make mistakes, it's for you. You get your salah full, but it's against them. Also, one of the very obvious things, and if a person has this knowledge, he would save himself, and people will be saved from all kinds of confusion. When it comes to not to do the things that is supposed to be done by the people of authority. The people of authority, they are the ones, the leaders, are in charge of the decisions based on war, peace, these types of things. It's not for the individuals. The individuals are not the ones to wage war, for example. It's for the people of authority, the president, the king. This is how things are. And if it's something like that, and if they do not do their job, it's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's not for the individuals to take this position. Otherwise, again, the life of people will be a life of chaos. And say, for example, if say someone if it's up to the individuals to put people in prison, for example, that's not their position. This is not their job. So the same thing, to be at ease with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted you with, and to focus on that, and to leave whatever is entrusted to others to be upon. To make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them, to be upright, to be guided, to be upon righteousness. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, as we heard in the hadith, خِيَارُ أَئِمَّتِكُمْ الذين تحبونهم ويحبونكم, to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify their situation, to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them so that the masses of the ummah will be also guided, and to give them the right companionship that would call them to be upon what is right. All of that is something that is to be observed. And as we heard, these are nusus, these are texts that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best what this ummah is going to be upon. And when the people do not obey the commands of the Prophet ﷺ, and they would rather follow their own desires, then you see the outcome. The outcome is the situation gets worse and worse unless people, they learn their deen, they follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. We'll continue inshallah ta'ala next time with the rights of the masses upon, the ruler has to observe the rights of the masses, and this is in the next episode inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who learn and apply what they learn. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية زاد
أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن، ومكارم الأخلاق ندرسها معا، أدب وتربية على الإحسان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.